Now, I'm telling you guys, this was the absolute easiest way to separate the seeds and skins from these tomatoes. Super quick, super easy, and look how creamy that is. Now, it is ready to make the sauces with. Y'all, I've got so many tomatoes in my freezer from last summer. But I think that I've got a really easy way to take care of this problem. Not really a problem, this is a good thing. So with tomatoes, they're one of the foods that I do freeze because I have a lot of stuff going on in the summer. Tomatoes are easy to go ahead and put in the freezer, and it's something you can work on later. So that's why my freezer is full of them. Ooh, these are cold. Molly's got the right idea. She's in front of the fire. This is where I'm starting. Actually, I don't even think it's a quarter of what I've got down there. Maybe a quarter. Maybe. Alright, so I'm still waiting on tomatoes to thaw, and it is taking a while. And I actually have a doctor's appointment at like 2:30, and then we're going to the hospital, so I don't know if I'm going to get all these done today. But if not, I've got tomorrow. I've been thawing some in hot water, so these have kind of thawed enough to get into the blender. Alright y'all, so this is what I'm doing. I'm using my blender. I have a Ninja blender that my husband bought me a couple years ago, and I have already cored these tomatoes over the summer. When I bring them in from the garden, I go ahead and I core them, and I stick them in a Ziploc bag, and I freeze them. Done. Quick process. Wow. And because I'm making this a 2-day event, I'm going to be putting this in the refrigerator until I'm ready to can this. Now, there are some options that you can do with this. If you want all of the seeds and all of the skins out of here, every little last bit of it, then you're going to want to run it through a strainer, which I've done before. I set it over top of something and pour it in, and that way it just removes every single thing. Super smooth sauce. But if you want it a little bit thicker, sometimes more of a flavor or a thickness if you leave the skins in, you can do that as well. In the past, I've done it both ways. I'm going to run mine through a strainer. I normally do. Some of my tomatoes, when I harvested them, some of the little smaller ones, I actually did not core. There's a few in here of my San Marzanos that I did not core. I guess I was just in a hurry at the end of the season, but that's okay because I'm going to run mine through the strainer. Now when I do that, I just kind of push it through the strainer. Alright guys, so this is what is left behind. Basically just the seeds and the peel. And that was super easy to separate. I mean, super duper easy. And like I said, this is your choice whether you want to leave this in there or not. Now I'm telling you guys, this was the absolute easiest way to separate the seeds and skins from these tomatoes. Super quick, super easy, and look how creamy that is. Now it is ready to make the sauces with. And I've used these before, like these Mrs. Wages. And it says in here about 10 cups will make this one recipe here, which is medium salsa, 6 jars. You can also just go into the ball canning book and use just a plain tomato sauce recipe, and when it comes time to open it up, if you're wanting to use it for, say, pasta sauce, you can add your herbs at that point in time. But back to this, since I'm going to be canning tomorrow and just working on getting it to this point, which like I say, it's not going to take very long once these thaw, I'm just going to put it in this and store it in the refrigerator until tomorrow, which is totally fine to do. Now if you're doing this in the summertime, all you have to do is go ahead and just stick your fresh tomatoes in here and then start this process right here, and then go on to canning however you're going to be doing it, whether you're using the packet, whether you're using fresh vegetables, or whatever sauce you're making. Good morning. It is the next day, and I finally got all the tomatoes blended last night and sifted through my sifter. And I didn't have any time left after that was completed last night from going to the hospital and then getting this done. It was late. So day 2 on the tomatoes, we're going to finish this up. I'm gonna start the cooking process and figure out what I'm gonna do as far as sauce, salsa, maybe a couple different things. I gotta get everything going and prepared. So I'm getting out my jars. I'm gonna bring out my sauces. I'll show you guys how much I got from those tomatoes. All right, so this is all of my sauces, and honestly, I have no idea how much this is gonna make. I don't know. What do y'all think? How many jars is this gonna make? I do know one thing. If I had to put those on the stove, remove the skins, and then quart the tomatoes, all that kind of stuff, this would have taken a very, very long time. I would still be doing this today. So the blender was an amazing save on time. I got some really smooth tomato sauce, no skins, no seeds, nothing. The first thing I'm gonna do is start with a Mrs. Wages salsa. And I haven't done this in a while, but I had one of these seasoning mixes, so I'm gonna work with this first. And I'm just gonna follow the recipe on the back of this. So according to this salsa recipe here, I'm gonna be using 10 cups of tomatoes, a half a cup of white distilled vinegar, and then this pouch right here. And this should yield 5 pints. So I'm gonna get started on this one first. Get my canning supplies ready. I always stock up on my lids, and I keep them in one of these little shoe containers on the back of my door. So currently getting my water bath canner going. I've gotten salsa in the jars. I ended up with 4 pints and then a little one. And I think my next round is going to be just pure tomato sauce. You want to make sure you wipe your jar lids off. You want to be able to create a good seal with the lids. So I got my jars in, and I'll start the timer, which is 40 minutes on these, as soon as they come back to a boil, a rolling boil. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna try to thicken up this sauce right here for the next round of sauce. And this round of salsa is complete. I'm gonna take the lid off, and I'm gonna turn the stove off and let this cool for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna take these out and let them sit for about 12 to 24 hours before I take the rings off. They gotta completely cool. Off to the next thing. I'm gonna go ahead and start this back up. Now with tomato sauce, you gotta add some acidity to them. And this recipe in the bulk canning book calls for a tablespoon in each pint jar. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in, and then I'm gonna put the sauce in. You can use lemon juice or citric acid. Now look at this tomato sauce. It is just a nice creamy tomato sauce with no seeds, skins. Tops of the tomatoes were sifted out. So this batch is done. I'm just letting it cool before I take it out. And then we've got one more last one to do. I've let it cook down quite a bit, so I'm not sure if I'll get 8 jars out of this one, but getting close. So I have a 30-minute window. I need to get down to the chicken coop and get eggs. I have quite a few eggs down there that my little cochins have been laying, and they've been laying them inside a little nest box, which I thought one of them might start sitting, because that's what they do. They'll lay like a really big clutch, and then they'll all go birdie. So I'm not sure. I thought about letting them hatch some eggs, but I'm kind of on the fence now that we got this crazy weather coming in pretty soon. and I'm not really sure I want to do that. I know the mamas would keep them nice and warm, but my husband is planning on putting a door on my chicken coop on the other end, and we're going to make a brooder area for them, but we've not got that quite set up yet, so I may wait till the next round to do it. I want to go get some fresh bedding for the chicken coop and kind of thicken it up in here because it's going to be so cold. And I may even hang my sweeter heater. I don't usually provide additional heat, but 11 degrees is pretty cold, and generally the chickens will do pretty well even without heat, but I might offer just a little bit. We may hang it up somewhere. I don't know, but I've got cochin eggs everywhere. My cochins are just like exploding with eggs. Like, I'm serious. There's so many. Look at that, y'all. Goodness gracious. That's a lot of baby chicks. A lot. Look at all those eggs. Oh my goodness. If we have some big monster blizzard happen next week and I can't get out to the grocery store, we'll be having lots of eggs. My chickens are some serious overachievers right now, and I think the cochins are the winners. I'm done. 18.5 jars later, I'm finished. Finished around 2:30, which actually I'm kind of pleased with, but this was a 2-day thing. And I think even when I do it next time, I'll do the same thing. I'll probably, the first day, I'll do the blender and the straining it and get all my sauce ready and prepared, and the next day I'll do the canning thing. So I've got 2 times this much left in my freezers, and I'm hoping to get to that pretty soon. But I am going to take care of a few things before this weather starts moving in, these crazy winds and the cold Arctic blast, polar vortex, or whatever you call it, maybe snow, I don't know. But I'm happy. I've got some space in my freezers. I got some stuff accomplished. I ended up with 7 jars of salsa, and then the rest I've got tomato sauce that I will be able to use with whatever I want to use it with. I can turn it into pasta sauce, pizza sauce, salsa, you know, by adding ingredients into it. And it was super easy to make. So yeah, really easy process. I recommend using a blender. It's the second time I've done it this way, and I definitely would not go back unless there was a reason why I had to, you know, if I wasn't able to use my blender, or I had just plain do it the old-fashioned way. I still have all my old tools and stuff like that. Don't ever get rid of that kind of stuff. I'm glad you guys got to hang out today with me in my kitchen, and I hope to see you guys very soon on the next video, and have a wonderful and blessed day.